We all react differently when faced with what we fear the most. You may think you're brave now, but as these YouTubers were quick to find, you'll never know how you'll truly react until you've been put to the test. Number 11. Art Ginter is trucking through a snowy road when he sees two other oncoming vehicles. One of them is clearly in the wrong lane, but there is little that can be done as Art braces himself for impact.
What the are you doing? No! No! No!
Art can only let out a shrill scream of surprise as he cuts right and narrowly avoids the other truck. It doesn't look like any of the three trucks actually touch each other, but you can hear the raw panic in Art's voice as he passes. It appears that the other 18-wheeler was passing a snowplow truck at the wrong time, or at least that's what I see. Let me know if you have another explanation as to why this happened. Apparently the other driver was charged for his actions. Number 10. Mike Tuttle and his friend Hunter are going to an abandoned trailer in the middle of the woods at 3 a.m. with a Ouija board to do a paranormal experiment. The creepy forest setting has them both nervous before they even begin.
Alright, put your hands on. Let's go. You're sketched out. Want me to? Oh yeah, me too. Alright, ready?
Almost immediately, the evil demon known as Zozo makes his presence known by repeatedly spelling out its name. Mike and Hunter quickly try to move the pointer to goodbye, but it switches to no instead. They are frantically trying to figure out how else they can end this session and make the mistake of taking their hands off of the pointer too soon. That's when something happens to Hunter in particular.
What the f, dude? Stop f***ing with me. Dude, we're in the middle of nowhere. I gotta go get help, dude. What the f?
Hunter eventually wakes up with no recollection of what just happened. He thinks he just got here, so Mike shows him the Ouija board and the video to convince him otherwise. It's unclear whether Hunter was possessed or if he just passed out from fear, but both of their reactions seem real, so I doubt this is fake. Let me know if you think this was a prank, or if something really happened to them that night at 3 a.m. Number 9. The Art Man channel is full of various lighthearted adventures taken from all around the country, but there's one video from his stay in Carpinteria, California that's way different from the rest. Art is wading in the water when he sees the last thing any surfer wants to see. A pointy fin barely poking above the surface.
What? What the f? That's creepy.
Art watches in stunned silence as a sizable great white shark swims by the nose of his boat, less than 10 feet away. It's not full grown, but it's still large enough to make a meal out of one of his arms or legs if it so desires. Fortunately, the shark moves on without much hesitation, and Art makes a beeline to the shore. If this is a different kind of shark other than a great white, please let me know. That's what it says in the video's description and title, but I honestly can't tell for sure. Number 8. YouTuber Carnage is celebrating his channel reaching 100,000 subscribers by exploring an abandoned location. He decides on the abandoned Motspur Park gas towers in London, England. The place is difficult to access, so he gets some help from a local group who are familiar with the area. They warn him about a person who hangs out at the towers who goes by the Gas Man, but Carnage seems to disregard the group's warning. They guide him through the gas towers and up to the very top. He's clearly nervous with how high up they are, so they decide to head back down and continue exploring the area. Carnage can't shake the feeling that someone is watching them. They find thick red liquid on some of the handlebars, and it makes him even more paranoid. They hear noises coming from a shed and decide to check it out. That's where they encounter a man wearing a gas mask. Terrified, the group runs away without looking back. It's unclear if this man was just pranking the group or if he was upset they were trespassing on his stomping stomping grounds. No further information on the incident could be found. Number 7. Guava Juice and his friends all sign up for skydiving lessons. To his credit, he does manage to keep his cool for most of the video. You can still tell at times that his anxiety is getting the better of him, like these 2 instances for example.
Please relieve my stress. I'm very nervous.
Okay, first we gotta sign this just in case we don't die and stuff.
When the big moment finally arrives, Guava Juice is so overwhelmed with fear that he passes out about 7 seconds into his drop. Watch his head go limp here and then quickly snap back to attention. And this is when he passes out a second time. Each time he wakes up looking confused, disoriented, and terrified. I can only imagine how horrifying it must be to completely lose consciousness like this, only to wake up still plummeting thousands of feet towards the ground. He's all right at the end and barely seems to remember passing out until he looked at the video later. I guess it was just all one big blur at the time. Either way, if Guava Juice didn't have the instructor behind him to pull the parachute cord, he very well may have been a goner. Number 6. A YouTuber named Bradley, not Bradley, is scheduled for a medical procedure on his nose, but the doctor needs to run some tests first, so he heads to the hospital for a pre-examination. Overall, he is in a fairly cheerful mood, and you can tell that he is not expecting for this routine visit to become one of the most terrifying days of his life. The nurse sticks a needle in his arm and the syringe turns bright red. Everything seems to go fine at first, but after the extraction is over, he suddenly feels faint.
The worst that happens is you just go to sleep for a second. It's fine.
I'm scared.
You're fine. I'm right here.
The entire ordeal only lasts a few minutes total, but I'm sure it feels a lot longer to Bradley, who needs to be repeatedly calmed down by his friend as he tries not to pass out. He regains his composure and reluctantly sits up, speaking slowly and still looking dazed. If you happen to have a fear of needles, then I'd be interested in knowing if your reaction is similar or different than what Bradley does here. Number 5. Josh is afraid of heights and his family is giving him a hard time about it. They bet him some money that he won't be able to stay on the ledge of a watchtower for long. He takes the bet and this is his immediate reaction.
Oh my god. Can't be so wicked. No. You gotta be out for 1 whole minute.
Josh's family ups the ante to $10 if he can make it all the way around the walkway. Pale and shaky, he inches his way across the platform, timidly clinging to the wall at times to keep from falling over. At one point, it looks like he isn't going to make it much longer.
Escape out here.
Okay, I'm ready to turn around.
Nope.
I can't do it. There's people in the way. I can't stand up here for this long.
But he summons all of his strength and eventually makes it full circumference. If you have a fear of heights, then let me know if you would be willing to walk around this tower for $10 like Josh just did, or if it would take way more to make you budge. Number 4. Baird Strudwick and his friends are just goofing around at a local trampoline park when they decide it would be funny to cover him in bubble wrap and do some stunts. None of them, not even Baird, expected this gag would almost cost him his life. The green bubble wrap suit definitely looks amusing, but after a while, Baird gets overheated and goes down. They quickly rip the suit off, and Baird says he's feeling okay at first. A little bit later, it becomes obvious that what he's actually feeling is the early onset of heat stroke. Now all of his friends gather around him and try to think of a reasonable plan as Baird sits on a chair with his head hanging low.
No. I was gonna say you could get like a wet towel. Like,
That's
so
what
you
you
stay
say
out,
out,
out
towel,
there in the cold
just
will
wring
help
it
a
out.
lot. You ain't doing too well.
If you guys have like a hand towel, you just like... About 40 tense minutes pass before Baird finally recovers enough to film an outro for the video. He is still drenched in sweat and looks woozy, but I'm really glad nothing permanent happened. I will admit that I didn't think anything serious would come from this idea, and the sudden turn of events took me by surprise. Hopefully this video will help us all think twice before attempting anything similar. Number 3.
I can't open my eye. It's pasted shut.
Nikocado Avocado has a serious problem affecting his right eye. For days this eye has been bothering him. The eyelid itself has progressively become more swollen and crusted over, until finally he can no longer open it to see. Nikocado decides to make a video to express the extreme fear and despair he is feeling at the moment.
I don't know what to do. Oh, it's hard. It's really, really hard because the average person watching this here just like, it seems obvious, go to the doctor. For me, it's...
The only problem is he is too scared of the hospital to admit himself into one in time. Sadly, by the time he gets enough courage to go to the doctor, they have to take extreme measures to save his health. Truly a sad and scary situation all around. Number 2. Ryan Keelan and his friend Nick are checking out the Boca Raton cemetery in search of 2 ghosts. One is named Mary, and the other is only known as the Screaming Man. These 2 spirits are supposed to reside in the far western part of the graveyard, where terrifying shrieks can sometimes be heard according to local reports. Ryan and his friend hope to spend a full night in the cemetery. They get to the western part around sundown and start to experience signs of the paranormal almost instantly.
This light's flickering. Look, see? No.
Soon it becomes apparent that the lights are clearly turning off in front of them wherever they go, one light at a time.
Oh, I wish...
They are sure that Mary is trying to lead them somewhere, so they reluctantly follow, using the lights as their guide. The lights continue to go out one by one until they stop at a place where they can feel her presence. Look at this part and let me know if you can see the dark silhouette of Mary's ghost on the wall.
Oh,
A short while later, they both see something off camera and bolt. I think there's a good chance that their terror is real because, as you can see here, Nick is so scared that he doesn't even notice his phone fall out of his pocket. Ryan returns later with a second friend, Jesse, and they find themselves once again getting led by the lights.
see, this is the light that was flickering last time. Yep, there it is again. Oh boy.
This time, Ryan decides that this is too unnerving and opts not to follow. Who knows? Mary and the Screaming Man could have been waiting for them right around the corner. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying my narration. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. I recently released a small mixtape and I'd love to know what you think of it. Tap the circle icon in the top right corner, then tap my mixtape to give it a listen. It's also linked in the description below. It's a proven fact that generosity makes you a happier person, so if you're generous enough to hit that subscribe button and the bell beside it, then thank you. This way you'll be notified of the new video I upload every Thursday. Number 1. A biker who goes by the name Super Vulgarian records the surprise of a lifetime while riding along the right-hand side of a fast-moving highway. A sheriff steps out of the vehicle and they have an intense conversation about the near miss. They aren't really mad at each other, just frightened and talking loudly because of the adrenaline rush.
It scared me more than it scared you. Huh?
Technically, Super Vulgarian broke no traffic laws, and if something had happened, it would actually have been the fault of the sheriff. They confirm that everyone is okay and part ways. Let me know if you think anyone should have been reprimanded, or if you think the situation was handled appropriately. YouTubers can have huge audiences, and with that comes the possibility of encountering people who like them just a little too much. Whatever the case may be, I'm sure these YouTubers wish they never crossed paths with these creepy individuals.